that as your level of conscious state goes up and you understand these principles at a deeper level, I guarantee you will see them in everything more. So when you read the Bible, you'll say, wow, the Bible's smarter than it was a week ago. That's outstanding. And I thought that my friend who was involved in Buddhism was ridiculous, and now I see actually he's really onto something. So we're constantly getting letters. This is the same as this is the same as that. And it's in their eyeballs. They're the ones that are seeing the sameness. It's not that it is the same. They're seeing the sameness. They're seeing more to the essence of everything. As you go to the essence of everything, it's like an inverted triangle. It all points to exactly the same thing. So if someone says, oh, well, Sydney Banks, he has an original message. No, he doesn't. This message is thousands of years old. But his ability to actually, in real time, see that for a few moments, and then, instead of going and converting those into principles, understanding the logic of it so that you can get it into three principles, I think that's an amazing contribution to
like he said,
society.
He said, really, there's only one principle, which is mind. And then he said, but for purposes of helping people out, I'm going to talk about thought and consciousness as well, in order to have a discussion.
Isn't that great? He said there wouldn't be anything to say if it's just mind.
So I suppose the dogma would be thought and consciousness.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But he said there's one principle, it's God, the end. But we have to have a conversation.
And one time,
so we'll talk about thought and consciousness.
One time you did a lecture in Salzburg. It was the very first one that Linda and I ever heard. And he had a bunch of Sikhs who were students of...
Rajneesh.
Yeah, Rajneesh, I think it was. But they were...
Or Yogi Bhajan.
Well, Yogi Bhajan.
Yeah.
So they were...
Get them straight.
Yeah, they were grilling Sid. I mean, they're really studious and good students, and they're very insane. And they were grilling him. It was great to see, because I didn't know him. The first time in my life I ever saw him, and they were grilling him about, well, you said this and that contradicts this, and you said this and this contradicts that, and come clean on this thing. And you're all confused. And he was, first of all, he was completely nonplussed. He said, oh, well, that's interesting. Oh, that's a good point. You know, it had no effect on him. Right there, I said, what the hell's going on here? You know, he's not defensive. He's not. So Sid waits and he listens, and then he says, look, here's the problem. The problem is that truth cannot be conveyed through language. And they said, well, why is that? He said, well, here's why. Okay, so you start out here. I'm even going to stand up for this one. You start out and you say, I am God. That is the truth. Okay, that's... People say, well, what do you mean by that? You say, okay, well, I am the creator of my own world, and I am the... Well, I don't understand that very well. He said, okay, so... He says, now every time you go out this way, you're adding bullshit to it. See, you're adding dogma to it. It's not the truth anymore. He says, but you keep going because you want people to understand. You go out, and then you get way out here, and now it shouldn't be this big. Now it's this big. So it's not as powerful a truth, but hard for people to hear it, so you got a dialogue. So that's why truth can't be spoken in language. Now, he said, but what I can do is everything I say, I can point to the truth. And then when people look in that direction, because the truth is in their hearts, it arises. They wake up and it arises. And he said, that's my purpose. Is no matter what I say, I'm trying to point in a direction, and that is the direction of truth. So then the Sikh guy says, okay, just come out and say it? He said, I wish I could. If I could, I'd be the wealthiest man in the world. It would be unbelievable. But we can't point, and everybody has to intuit truth for themselves. Every human being has to intuit it, and when they intuit it, they have that truth. And then when they go to try to tell someone else, the other person will say, like this. And the other person says, why don't you just say it? And then the other person will say, oh, I got it. I got it. Why didn't you say that last week? So it's a dance. It's a very ethereal dance. It's like charades. You just point to it. And we point as best we can, and everybody tells us, why didn't you say that last Tuesday? Same as they say it to you.